Ooh. Today we are talking about a gun that is more or less unknown as far as I know on the European side of the ocean, but on this side of the ocean, it is a legend, a meme, and something very special. We talk about the Taurus Judge. Now, if you know about guns but don't know that gun, you might see, yeah, it looks like a normal revolver, but the drum is kind of big, isn't it? And indeed, if we compare it with a regular revolver, in this case a 357 Magnum, we see that it's more or less twice as long. And this isn't even the long version. The Taurus Judge can actually be somewhat longer because it cannot just shoot 45 long Colt, it can also shoot 410 shotgun shells. This version can only shoot the 2.5 inch, but there's also a version where you can shoot the full 3-inch size shells out of this one. You can shoot, and that's the real specialty. This is not just a revolver that can shoot regular bullets. You can actually shoot designed shotgun shells with birdshot, with buckshot, with slugs, whatever you want out of it, up to 3-inch. And this obviously makes that gun very special. But let's look into that gun a little bit more in more detail. So let's take a quick look at the gun itself. Prominently, the Judge, the Taurus bow. I think it's really nicely looking. You can see, by the way it's unloaded, you can see this is how you open it. Like most other revolvers, you have the iron sights. This is just cut into the metal. This here is fiberglass, and you can see you can move it back and forth with your finger. I do not think that's intended this way, so I think that's bad construction quality. Overall, the grip, rubber, some stippling here, I think is the correct word, in the background. Generally, it feels like it's a solid hold. It doesn't feel pleasant to me to hold it. I like different grip types. I actually prefer wood, like on this one here, but that's a different story. This is, by the way, just to compare it again, when it comes to the length of the, I think drum is not the correct word, but it's probably a faulty translation by my side, so please bear with me if I call it the wrong words here. Unfortunately, this is not my first language. So yeah, we see the gun here in total. Let's just check it out, the trigger weight. We can check that one. Okay, now maybe. 4 pounds, 4.3 pounds. 3.1, 3.7, 4.9, so between 3 and 5 pounds. This device might not be the best, especially as it's purely dependent on me where I stop the pulling, as you can see here. Then where to set it is also playing a role because of the angle, the length of pull. Like I think wasn't it Archimedes who defined it, that he can move the whole world if you just give him the right lever. So overall, we should take this measurement as more of a ballpark than to take it too serious, but let's do it with the double action. 10.5 pounds, 9.2, 8.9. That can't be true. 6 point something. 9 point. So roughly, let's say 9.5 to 10.5 pounds in double action. Nothing special here. Now let's talk about the guns, the ammunition. This is actually the comparison between 45 long Colt or 45 Colt and 45 ACP. Interestingly enough, the smaller one, is stronger. This is a much older cartridge. I think initially actually planned to be used with black powder. So the dimensions, the strength is not made for the same pressure as the modern 45 ACP, even though it actually felt stronger. We are using this 410 shells here. As you can see, they fit in perfectly. They are 2.5 inch. 3-inch also fit in, but not in this one. There are versions with a longer drum, with a longer possibility to use longer shells, and the ones we're using are those two. We are using Winchester Supreme Elite hollow point for the 45 Long Colt, and the 410 are PDX1 410 Defender with 3-plated defense discs, projectless 12-plated BBs, so a defensive load that is meant, I think, actually specifically for the Judge and its competitor from Smith & Wesson. That should probably not be a load you would use in a regular 410 shotgun. But let's see how it actually shoots. Ooh. Okay. Kicks like a mule. Okay, let's come to some conclusion after shooting it. I just shot, I think, 13 rounds. The ammo is so expensive here, especially the ammo I got. I don't get Full Metal Jacket 45 Long Colt. The ammo I got is so expensive that it doesn't make sense shooting much more. Now, according to the data, 45 Long Colt is weaker than 45 ACP. I've shot a ton of 45 ACP. I never had problems. This, on the other hand, when I shot it, it kicked like a mule. My hand was hurting, and I'm going to show you here a picture, a video, a clip, how my hand was looking. Ignore the pinch on the finger. I pinched myself there, not with the Taurus Judge, so it is in no relationship, but you see on the palm of my hand how red the hand got simply by shooting 13 times. That was all that was needed. Maybe it's the grip, the grip design, maybe. The gun itself is fairly heavy, so it should not be the issue. This should help mitigate the recoil, but it kicked like a mule. Surprising to some degree when you look at the data, and I didn't feel any difference shooting the 410 to shooting the 45 Long Colt. Obviously with birdshot it might be different, but with those two loads at least I didn't feel any difference. But we are not just talking about this before we come to a final conclusion. Let's also talk about whether this is actually usable for self-defense, as this is one of the topics here on this channel. My first criteria for choosing a gun for self-defense is reliability. Now, I only shot 13 rounds. I said in the video, I'm going to link you here, that my limit would be at very least try it out for 200 rounds, that it should go without stoppage. I'm nowhere close to it. And the thing is, if you look at other reviews of this gun, a lot of people had problems. I think most of them with the 410. So at least with those 410s I used, there wasn't an issue. But I only tried this one. So when it comes to reliability, I can't really say much. Those 13 shots, it worked, but that's not really a good sample size. So in this regard, it's not too conclusive. My second criteria is the ease of carrying, because obviously a gun that is uncomfortable to carry, you won't carry with you. The Taurus here is more or less like a normal revolver. It's longer, but that's usually not the big issue, because the barrel you can stick down your pants. If you just choose the right position, it's not going to be a problem. The grip itself is a little wider than some other self-defense revolvers I held in my hands, but when it comes to width, it's not really a problem either. So when it comes to carry comfort, it feels fine. It's not a it's not a weightless gun. It's not polymer taking a record how light it is. That it isn't, but it doesn't feel like a brick in my pocket. I think I could carry it with me all the time. So in this regard, I think more or less it is successful. At this point, we can talk about the holster here too. I just use a generic revolver holster that I used for a 38 snub nose. Obviously, it doesn't fully cover the trigger, so this might not be the right holster to carry. On the other hand, you won't carry it cocked. You won't carry it cocked anyways. And the good thing about an open hammer is if you put it in the holster, you just put your thumb on the hammer and make sure it doesn't shoot yourself. So in this regard, it would probably even work. I would not be afraid to carry it like this if I just had that holster. So in this regard, I think it's actually fine. Third criteria is the ease of hiding it. Here again, not that big of a deal. The grip is a little thicker. But I think if you can hide a normal full-size 357 or something, it won't be much of a difference. Of course, the drum is longer, the barrel on this one is longer, but as said, when it's down your pants, it's not the problem. It's more or less the grip that causes the issue. So far from being perfect, but nothing spectacularly bad either. So fine in this regard, but not very good. Now, my fourth criteria for self-defense is the capacity. I think it's the FBI statistics that in most cases the average is 3 shots fired. So with 5 rounds, this would be fine. But we know it's an average. It's not what you necessarily need to expect. There are enough videos out there of 2 attackers, 4 attackers, 5 attackers. So the more capacity you have, the better. And here the judge fails miserably. Not only does it only have 5 rounds, but the problem is when you reload, when you push out the cartridges from the cylinder, the one that is the closest to the frame doesn't fall out. The grip, the grip is in the way because the cartridges are longer than a regular one than with other revolvers. So you have to rotate the cylinder first, then maybe push again or pull it out with your hand. And speed loaders will have the same problem when loading it because they don't fit in the place. So you'll fumble around. That means that not only does it only have 5 rounds, reloading it is even slower than with a regular revolver, who is already slower than just changing a magazine in a pistol. In this regard, though, in this category, accordingly, it fails completely. My last criteria is the accuracy. Now, I was shooting at roughly 50 meters. What is that, 17 yards or something like this? I felt like I was hitting where I meant to. But the thing is, in distances that you will be most likely defending yourself, 3 yards, it'll do the trick. There, you could say it's shotgun possibilities that you can use buckshot will be a big advantage, especially the fact that it's rifled and thus the spread will be higher because of centrifugal forces. So you might have an easier time hitting somebody attacking you. But the problem is your self-defense scenario will not just be at home where you have walls to your left and to your right and no civilians standing around. You might, if you actually want to use it as a concealed carry weapon, you'll carry it in public, and then you might be able to hit the guy who is attacking you, but you might hit other civilians as well. So in this regard, using buckshot or something for self-defense feels completely misplaced unless you exclusively use it at home. So this is probably a bad choice. Now you can take 45 long Colt and a hollow point will do the trick. It should do a good job and it will take the full effect of the rifling and thus be accurate. The problem there is going back to the recoil. I shot 13 rounds. And if you tell me now shoot 200 today at range day, I'd say, do I really have to? It wasn't pleasant to shoot. Now that means I'll train less with it, which will reduce my ability to use the gun that I will then have to trust my life on. And at the same time, the cartridges are really expensive. In Panama, those can go to several dollars a shot. That is not fun, and it means that you are not going to train a lot with it. Now, maybe if you live at a place where 45 long Colt is a little cheaper, that's not the big issue, but then we come to all the other issues that the gun has some doubtful, questionable reliability with others, that it's difficult to shoot because it's unpleasant, it kicks you. Even if you can get it accurate, I don't think it's a gun that makes sense for self-defense. And that's where we would take the extra measurement. Like, even though it might succeed in most of the categories, when we look at it, that it's unpleasant to shoot, that it is the ammo is so expensive that you're not going to shoot a lot with it. That already excludes it. If at the same time you can have a smaller revolver, probably even a cheaper one in 38 Special or 357 Magnum, that will do the trick exactly the same while having cheaper ammo, there's simply no reason. And then we come to a conclusion about the gun itself. So what does that mean for the gun? Now, we should understand it as a shotgun. Now, then suddenly it makes sense. Now, the trick of this gun is not that it shoots 45 long Colt. The trick is that it shoots 410. So if you're out on your range on a farm and you want to carry a shotgun with you, but it's too clumsy, then maybe carrying the Judge with you in a holster is probably a decent choice. Should you meet a coyote that is a little too feisty, you can shoot it. If you see a rattlesnake, you can shoot it with snake shot or with bird shot. Probably a decent trick, but then you could ask, I mean, you can do that with a 9mm snake shot as well. So why do you need that? We could argue you can hunt with it, maybe some ducks, but how close do they have to be that you are actually able to hit them with the Taurus Judge? I'm not sure. We all know, and you probably knew it as well if you heard about the gun before. This is a meme, and this has to be understood as a meme. I'm having no different conclusion than all the others who talked about this gun before here on YouTube. So yeah, this is a meme. Buy it if you want a meme. If you want to say, I have a Taurus Judge, if you want to feel it, if you think it's funny that you can shoot 410 with it, I think in this regard, it really does the trick. But other than that, I see absolutely no point in that gun, even though it's funny, but it's pointless. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm going to do a lot more on this channel talking about self-defense, about concealed carry. We are going to see in the future, I'm going to meet up with one of the most prolific gun collectors in Germany to do some videos. I will even be able to shoot some really historic guns with it. So we are going to talk about historic guns. We are going to do two training classes together, talk about guns, self-defense, maybe some hunting, different ways where, according to the name, hoplophile, this is about appreciating guns and enjoying them. So if you like this, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon and leave a comment what you would like to know about more. Maybe something about the gun laws in Panama. I plan to do some videos about this. The process to get a gun here, etc. will be there on the future, in the future as well. But if you have any ideas, or if you want to say something about the Taurus Judge, if you have an idea about this, write it in the comment section, where, by the way, in the description you also find links to my other YouTube channels. Maybe you want to take a look there as well if you don't know me from there. Other than that, that's already it from me for now. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back.